Plagiarism. Plagiarism is presenting someone else's work or ideas as your own, with or without consent, by incorporating into your own work without full acknowledgement. Plagiarism may be copying, pasting text into a new work without crediting it to the original owner. It can be published and unpublished material within a manuscript, printed, electronic form. It can be intentional or unintentional. And it does require a disciplinary offense. It may include failing an assignment or failing a course or even dismissal from a university. So why do people plagiarize? They may want credit for someone else's ideas. It can come from a desire to impress others. It can just be because they don't have enough time or they think it would be too much effort. It may be poor time management, procrastination, lack of confidence, or lack of knowledge about how to complete the assignment. It might just be confusion as to when or how to cite the source. It may be just temptation of readily available materials on the web. Or it can just be simply they don't understand that they are plagiarizing. And it doesn't just apply to a text that you find in an online library. It can be library books and journals, but it can also be internet searches. It can be computer code, illustration, graphs, or another student's research paper. So how many words? If you copy 2 words or a sentence or a paragraph or a whole document, how much does it take to make plagiarism? Well, there's no certain answer to this question. The idea is that it's a concept or an idea. It can range from stealing an entire work, just simply changing the name of the author, to paraphrasing someone's work and not attributing the idea to the original author. It can be unintentional or inadvertent. When you read something, then forget that it was someone else's. Or it can be a motivation that an entire paper is taken and put someone else's name on it. And it comes down to intent. So intentional plagiarism is that you know it's wrong. You have an awareness, you know it's wrong. You're claiming it as your own, even though you know it's someone else's. So some examples are a student buys a paper written by someone else. A student has their roommate write part of the paper. You pay your sister to write your paper. You intentionally copy and paste something off the internet into your paper, and you intentionally don't put the reference or the source into your paper. There again, it is the intent. Now, unintentional plagiarism is just you didn't cite it correctly. You didn't reference it correctly. You didn't put quotes around it. You didn't put the author's name in parentheses after using it in your paper. You didn't prepare your reference page correctly at the end of your paper. So you may accidentally fail to cite your source. You may not believe that you need to cite it in your paper in a particular way because you paraphrase the idea. You may not think that you really paraphrased the idea or didn't use that much of the author's idea, so you don't need to cite it. So it just may be that you didn't completely understand how plagiarism works, how citing works, and how referencing works. So that's unintentional plagiarism. But both intentional and unintentional plagiarism are wrong. So we need to know how to avoid it. So how to avoid plagiarism? So you learn what it is. So if it's unintentional plagiarism, we need to learn how to use something like APA style. So you learn how to cite sources, give credit to other authors in the appropriate way. Give yourself plenty of time so you don't get in a rush and you don't just copy and paste something in and toss it in and forget to give credit to the original author. And collect sources as you go. So as you find a reference that you want to use, go ahead and copy and paste that link, or go ahead and create that reference and put it in your reference page right then. Use APA style to its fullest. Create the in-site citation, the in-text citations, as well as the reference page, so that you do give credit to those authors. And use Safe Assign. This is a tool within Blackboard that your instructor turns on for each assignment, and it will show you how close your document is to plagiarism. So avoiding plagiarism takes more time because you need to document your sources and record where each idea came from. Plan your writing assignment accordingly. Start earlier than you expected so you're not rushed, and you have plenty of time to do that research and do it correctly. And collect your research as you go. Build that APA reference page as you find your sources. Don't plan to go back at the end because you probably won't have time, or you may not be able to find that source again. So build that APA reference page, or at least collect those hyperlinks so you can be sure to go back and make that reference page as well as those in-text citations at the end. And use APA style. Build that reference page so you do give credit to those authors and their documents. This way you can avoid unintentional plagiarism, and that's one of the great benefits of APA. It was built to help authors avoid plagiarism. And use the in-text citations here. It says in 2002, Cummings et al., and it uses that because there was more than 2 authors. And then here it uses the in-text citation at the end of the idea. The Safe Assign is built within our course management system, Blackboard. It has a unique text matching algorithm and has a huge database. It's built since the 1990s. It has millions of articles, journal articles, books, and so on. This algorithm matches your text, the student's text, to all of these existing documents. And it gives you a comparison report to try to help you identify potential plagiarism issues. So you'll go into Blackboard and submit your assignment as usual. It takes about 15 minutes to compare your document to this database using that algorithm. It generates a Safe Assign originality report. So you'll go back in to your assignment Dropbox for your particular assignment, and you will see this View Originality Report button. Then you can view that originality report, and there's 3 areas. There's a report summary, there's your citations, and your submission. So it will show you your paper and the original source where it was found, as well as a score. It will show you what percentage of risk the paper is. The report summary is at the top panel of the report. You can access your report summary to show that risk. And this is a risk of improper citations in the paper. It gives a percent of matching or similar text. And then the sources that may match are listed on the right side. And you can look at the source type to learn more about the match. And then for each source, a number appears which corresponds with the highlighted text. Then you can see your paper as well as what it shows as the original source. Now you can interpret their scores like this. The scores represent the matching percentage probability that the 2 have the same meaning, and it reflects the probability that these 2 are similar. So a score of 90 means that there's a 90% probability that these two phrases are the same. The overall score indicates a probability that the submitted paper contains matches to an existing source. It's a warning indicator only. You still have to do a deeper dive to review the papers to see if the matches are properly attributed. So below 15%, there's some quotes and a few phrases that match other documents. This is probably just fine. And medium, between 15 and 40, there may be a lot of sources used, which is usually okay. There may be some original content, so it might be worth a little closer look, but usually these are okay as well. Now, scores over 40, this requires a little bit of a even more closer look. There's a high probability that there could be some things copied here. So there's a higher probability of plagiarism over 40%. So here, both the student and the instructor should look at these papers even closer. That doesn't mean plagiarism. It just means it's worth a closer look. So these are the ways that you can avoid plagiarism. First, by learning more about plagiarism. What is it? Learn more about APA style. How do you use APA style correctly? Put quotes around direct text. Use citations inside of your document. Use a reference page. If you use someone else's work, cite that work. Give yourself plenty of time on documents, on assignments, so you don't have to feel rushed. Use the Safe Assign tool in Blackboard so you can look at the report and see the possibilities. Avoid any opportunity, of course, of intentional as well as unintentional plagiarism.